Hey, what's up guys? In today's video, I want to compare two subclass trees, which are going to be Golden Gun, this case bottom tree, and the new Golden Gun tree, Blade Barrage. I will be comparing Celestial Nighthawk against Blade Barrage in terms of damage, and at the same time throw in the exotic of the Shards of Galanor, and break down the subclass a tiny bit to figure out fully which tree is better in terms of neutral gameplay and as well actual DPS. In order to be able to break down each tree, let's have a look at each of the perks and what they exactly do. On the bottom tree Golden Gun, we have the first perk, Practice Makes Perfect, where precision hits give you more super energy. The next perk is about precision hits increasing its duration, which is kind of irrelevant for this comparison. The perk afterwards is enabling you to do critical damage with your Golden Gun. Meanwhile, the last perk is going to be Knife Juggler, enabling you to fully recharge your throwing knife of getting a precision kill. At the same time, this perk works together with Practice Makes Perfect, enabling you to get a lot of super energy of precision kills with your throwing knife. Now going on to the Blade Barrage tree, the first perk is just generally what the super does. The next perk is called Knife Trick. It is pretty much the new throwing knives, which are blades what set enemies on fire. The third perk is called the Burning Edge. While enemies burn, your dodge ability recharges faster. And the last perk is going to be Playing with Fire. Destroying burning enemies recharges Knife Trick more quickly. Now that we spoke about the perks, let's actually get into the damage comparisons first, and let's have a look how much Blade Barrage does against this Lost Sector target. And as you can see right here, the Ogre doesn't stand a chance and just instantly dies. We're going to test the same thing out with Celestial Nighthawk, and as you can see right here again, the Ogre doesn't really stand a chance, so we need a new target, which actually has more health. The Prestige Leviathan standard bearers in the Castellum seem to be a way better target with way more health. First off, this time, we're going to test Celestial Nighthawk, and as you can see, it does around 40 to 45% damage against this high level enemy. Now of course, we're going to test the same thing out with Blade Barrage, so let's have a look how much damage that does. And as you see right here, we actually do more than half health. Let's say around 55, maybe even 60%. So the first question is answered. Blade Barrage actually does more damage against single targets compared to Celestial Nighthawk. Now since this comparison is including Celestial Nighthawk, which is a exotic armor piece, let's see what happens if we throw the new with Forsaken introduced Shards of Galanor into this comparison. These gauntlets reward you with super energy on Blade Barrage hits or kills. So let's have a look what happened. Right here, this is the same exact standard bearer. We go ahead and use the super, and as you can see right here, it gives you a super recharge rate on the side, which is determined by a time, and gives me about half of my super back. Now comparing that once again to the Celestial Nighthawk hit on the Ogre, you actually get around 30% super back on kill. Now the thing about Blade Barrage is, it is not just a single shot super against a single target, you can as well use it against a bigger group of enemies. As you see right here, I get actually around 80% super back from killing all these enemies, while having Shards of Galanor on. Another test which very well displays the strength of these exotic gauntlets, combined with Blade Barrage, is going to be Escalation Protocol. Defeating this big group of Thrall rewarded me with around 60% of my super, even though I killed way more enemies than I did in the Leviathan. That right here shows the Shards of Galanor become more and more effective the higher tier the enemies are you're defeating or hitting with the Blade Barrage. Now like I already said in the beginning of the video, this is not just about a damage breakdown, it is about as well figuring out which subclass tree is better. Because obviously it's not all about just a super, the neutral game of each class is very important to see which one is better and plays out more well. Going back to the bottom tree Golden Gun, its main perk is going to be Practice Makes Perfect, and as you can see during the gameplay, it is not a kill, it is just generally hitting a critical shot in order to activate the perk, which is going to make your super charge a lot faster. And while you can see me slaying these enemies, I actually gain a ton of super energy as long as I keep the Practice Makes Perfect active. A note to mention is that the Practice Makes Perfect perk lasts around 1.7 seconds until it deactivates. If you're fairly decent with throwing knives, you're as well able to chain throwing knives unlimited times against lower tier enemies, which as well rewards you with a good amount of super energy of each kill. Now going on to Blade Barrage, like we already read from the perks in the beginning of the video, it is all about defeating enemies set on fire. As you can see right here, the knives from Blade Barrage are easily able to take down lower tier enemies just as fine as a throwing knife from Golden Gun does. Meanwhile, they are as well able to hit critical and activate the perk Playing with Fire, which gives you a way faster recharge rate of your throwing knives and as well your dodge. The perk lasts for 15 seconds and stacks up until times 3. Combining this with Gambler's Dodge enables you to have pretty much unlimited amount of knives as long as you use your Shade Step fairly close to an enemy in order to get the full melee recharge. Now on top of that, if you like using incendiary grenades, they will as well enable you to activate the perk Playing with Fire and give you once again this recharge rate. Like I just broke down, all the perks on the Blade Barrage play together and do a very good job in terms of mid game to give you all your abilities back. Meanwhile, Golden Gun, for example, has pretty much one main perk, which is about giving your super faster and being able to do critical damage with your Golden Gun. Meanwhile, each critical hit generates 2 orbs. Now let's sum everything up and figure out which subclass is actually better. First off, in terms of damage, the Blade Barrage is way better on single targets and as well has the great ability of using it on several targets at the same time. Throwing in exotics into the comparison, which is the only way Golden Gun is able to compete in terms of damage, is going to be Celestial Nighthawk, and it still doesn't beat it. Celestial Nighthawk can give you up until 33% of your super back if you kill the enemy with that single hit. Meanwhile, Blade Barrage, like already said, does generally without any exotic more damage, and on top of that, can use the exotic Shards of Galanor to gain back up until your full super as long as you have a big enough group, but a more common scenario will be between 30 and 70%. Now looking at the neutral game of each class, it is very nice to see that Golden Gun is able to get its super very fast, but the problem is it doesn't do more damage, so why should I use it? The orb generation is very nice, but then again, to be able to compete you have to use Celestial Nighthawk, and you will only generate 2 orbs, and if you get the kill on a higher tier target, another 2. Meanwhile, in terms of abilities, the only thing bottom tree Golden Gun has is getting your throwing knife back and at the same time gain more super energy. Against that, you have Blade Barrage, where all of your abilities can be used combined in order to get your knives back faster and build up a huge chain of that. Every single one of your knives is able to crit and defeat lower tier enemies, and you can have the times 3 Playing with Fire up for 15 seconds and be able to throw around 5 different sets of knives. Overall, I have to say I am very impressed with how well Bungie did with this new Golden Gun tree. For the Forsaken DLC, Hunters really weren't the greatest class in the game in terms of PvE, and as well more like high-end PvE, even just more as well for raids. Now, we have a tree what on base, without any exotics already, does more damage than Celestial Nighthawk Golden Gun. On top of that, you can use a exotic what works similar to the Orpheus rig on a Night Stalker in order to keep your super up, be able to clear out very big groups of enemies as well of higher tier. I personally have to say, I cannot wait to get my hands on Shards of Galanor myself. I think this is an outstanding exotic. The subclass tree is extremely strong and has a very good neutral game. I personally am a straight up Warlock main, and I always used to say Hunters are not good and I don't like playing them because there's not really a spot for them as long as you don't need, you know, high damage Celestial Nighthawk spam like Argos or anything like that. That right there with me actually today for the first time fully testing out how good this tree is changed, and I cannot wait to use this class more. Let me know down below what you guys think about Shards of Galanor or in general the Blade Barrage tree and how much you like it. But either way, thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.